Hi, it's Joe from Red's Fly Shop here. I would like to help you maximize your efficiency on the water by helping you choose a weight forward floating trout line best suited for your rod and your situation. And the other thing I want to teach and explain today is you can take a couple of different lines and use them on the same rod and change the rod's performance and what those lines are able to do for you for given situations. So the lines we're going to talk about today, they're all new lines, or two of the three are new lines from RIO that just launched today. And we've been testing these lines for the last several months, and we're extremely fond of the lines themselves, but we're really excited that it's a super intuitive and well-organized family of lines that can change the performance of your rod and are built for different situations. So let me just introduce the lines real quick. We've got the traditional RIO Gold. That is essentially kind of your dry fly line, extreme accuracy, great for throwing dry flies at feeding fish, a little hopper dropper work, some light indicator work, like some little loon tip toppers or New Zealand indicators would be great on the RIO Gold. But you're really thinking dry fly fishing, really at possibly extended distance where precision and control is necessary. And the next line is really going to be the most popular line, and that's the RIO Gold XP. And that's going to be the most versatile line. It's a little bit shorter head at 42 feet, so it's got a little bit more aggressive weight forward taper for fast action rods where you're really quick firing some shots. And it's an incredibly versatile line, capable of dry fly fishing when you need to, and also throwing hopper droppers, light indicator rigs, light streamers, and really the workhorse of the line family that will do a little bit of everything. So if you're fishing a popular or your favorite 9-foot 5-weight fast action rod that does a little bit of everything, the RIO Gold XP is probably going to be your choice for that. Very, very versatile line. However, the RIO Gold Max, this is a full line weight heavy. It's a much shorter head. It's a 37-foot head. And what this shorter head allows for, and it's got a very aggressive back taper. What this line is really great for is roll casting heavier flies, big TJ hookers, double nymph rigs, even roll casting a streamer, which is a complete exercise in frustration with, say, a lighter, longer taper like the traditional RIO Gold. This line is not for roll casting big streamers like a meat sweats or TJ hookers or Sculptzillas or anything like that. So the Gold Max would be for me, and I'm going to go through and talk through a little bit about my trout reel setups because I have my 3 favorite trout reels or my most popular trout reels here. And I have each line on each of these reels, and I'll talk a little bit about the seasonality because I think a lot of anglers, if you've invested in a rod, especially, and it doesn't matter if the rod's $300 or $1,000, you've made an investment in this rod and your time is valuable too. We want to see you have the best fishing that you possibly can and take advantage of that investment in the rod that you have. So when it comes to seasonality, like right now, for instance, it's February, very early spring, cold water. We're throwing a lot of more heavily weighted flies because a lot of the fish are down a little bit deeper, doing a lot of roll casting and pivot mending where I might actually pick my indicator up and mend my indicator to help that fly drop. The RIO Gold Max is a very, very good line for that because when it comes to mending with, and if you'd like details on each line, there's a link in the video description and you can look at the blueprint or the schematic. We call it a line profile. And to understand this, the easiest way for me to describe something that has a very aggressive mending nature, the type of mend where maybe there's weighted flies on the end, so I can mend very aggressively because my fly is not going to go scooting across the surface. When there's weight in the back end of that head, that means I can lift my rod tip and there's enough mass of the line close to my rod tip that I can make a flick with my rod tip and actually move that entire line. The weighted flies are going to stay put and they're going to stay where they're at because they're anchored into the water. So the RIO Gold Max for cold weather fishing, roll casting streamers, anything where I'm dealing with weighted flies is a very, very good choice for that. So it really takes the place of like an indicator specific line. It really does a great job of roll casting. So if you're fishing in brushy situations with weighted flies where a roll cast is 50% of your fishing, the Gold Max is a super choice. I've got that on one of my Lamsons here, and I've really liked that line thus far. Now, I could take the same rod and I could have an extra spool, or I could have an extra reel, and I could swap out depending on my situation. So I could start the day indicator nymphing, roll casting streamers, and fishing heavily weighted flies. And then maybe in the afternoon when a hatch comes off, it wouldn't be unrealistic for me to put a very delicate dry fly taper on, like the traditional RIO Gold, for throwing elk hair caddis if there was a caddis hatch or a mayfly hatch. I can change the performance of the rod pretty dramatically. And just for kind of explanation purposes, when a head is longer and skinnier, it tends to drift better because there isn't any real thick part of that head out there laying on the water. The thicker a line is, and this is a lesson on, I guess, fishing lighter lines in comparison to heavier weight lines. A 3-weight line, for instance, is going to be very thin. The current is not going to get as much grip on that, creating drag and a poor presentation. Well, you get it kind of the same effect when you switch to a longer, skinnier head like the RIO Gold. Now when I fish that dry fly at some distance, say 30, 40 feet away, and I'm targeting rising fish, I can hold the drag-free drift better, and my mending can be more delicate because that head weight is spread out over a longer distance. But this is a great family of lines. The RIO Gold Elite is very slick. It shoots great. I would recommend when you make an investment in good lines like this, you want to definitely consider cleaning these lines and making sure that you take good care of that investment. And also consider how you change the performance of your rod seasonally. In the winter and early spring, the RIO Gold Max is a great choice. Midsummer, hopper dropper type fishing, the XP is a great all-around line. But if you're targeting rising fish and fishing smaller dry flies most of the time, like I said, with some light dropper work or light indicator work, the RIO Gold is an excellent choice. And then just to characterize this on rods as well, the XP is going to perform very well on very high modulus, fast action fly rods, and the RIO Gold is going to lend itself, in my opinion, better to, say, some of the more moderate, medium fast action rods like Sage R8 Classic, a Winston Pure 2, a TNT Paradigm, and the Gold XP. That's going to probably live on my 9-foot 5-weight R8 most of the time when I'm not using the Gold Max for my heavy roll casting and heavy indicator rigs. So that's a kind of a breakdown on how to choose a floating trout line if you are in the RIO Elite Gold family. Those are the lines for you. Of course, you can shop at Red's, and there are links to all the products down in the video description as well.